Yes? Okay, so we're asked to summarize I'm stressing the camera. We're asked to summarize last night's shir since it was not...
Everything about dating and Bitachon.
Everything? But the first shir was recorded.
It was, but there was a lot of interruption.
You want me to do everything about dating and Bitachon tonight?
In 5 minutes you can summarize. I can summarize in 5 minutes.
Maybe you should be the one to do it. Anyway, so a couple of things that we talked about were that people wait too long sometimes to get married because they get too picky, and the fact is that you should have a bitachon on Hashem that as long as you find a girl who has good midos, which means healthy, normal, positive, and kind character, and she is someone whom you feel pleasant in her pleasant talking to her, and you feel in her company that it's nice to spend time with her. So then that is a reasonable basis for continuing the shidduch and not giving it up. And there are people who, according to Rav Tzuriel, people who put too much emphasis on romantic love, and there is a concept of chemistry, which is that feeling of the pleasure and the looking forward to spending time with somebody. But the question is a very open question, whether the issue of romantic love, which the Western society has imposed on us, is a legitimate Jewish concept or an advisable Jewish concept, the advisable concept whether it's Jewish or not, or something which is totally superfluous. So, in my opinion, it's not like Rav Tzuriel's opinion completely. He quotes the Malbim, and Rav Shaul Hirsch, but about this. But in my opinion, that it's something which needs to be brought out into the open and discussed, because there are these anticipations of certain kinds of feelings which are, for better or for worse, ingrained in us by Western literature, Western norms and society, and so on and so forth. Now, you can then say that, and I don't need this. I will love you after marriage, right? I don't love you, don't say it this way, but you could say, in essence, I don't love you now, but I expect I'll love you after I get married. You can say that, again, not in such crass terms, but you have to acknowledge that this is an issue in order to get past it. And a lot of times in dating, people don't discuss this, and it really is kind of strange in my mind how then they decide to get engaged. They just go through the checklist and say, oh, okay, check, and then let's get married, live happily ever after. What? No, it didn't used to be that way. In Lithuania, as I said last night, they're also influenced by the Western world. And there was a book which was a controversial book which was put out a few years ago called Making of a Gadol.
You'll have it in the library.
They have Meir Machlin here? But they might have the censored edition. So, they don't have it here. There's no way they have it here. They have English books in this building?
Mm-hmm.
I thought the English books are kept elsewhere. I should be right back. Shlomo! Anyway, I'm not going to wait that long. In the ostensibly, if I recall correctly, in the original book, he wrote that about Rabban Kotler having written love letters to his fiancée while they were engaged. Well, Rabban Kotler, of course, was learning his. That's not it. No.
Right, it's the same thing in English.
Not at all. No. Making of a Gadol is not it's a history.
How do you translate this?
This is not a biography of anything. This is how to be a leader.
That's what's in the cover page.
Yeah, I see it, so I understand, but it's not the book which I'm talking about. The book I had talking about they wouldn't have in the library here. So it's just historical. Anyway, so I think that one of the reasons why the original version was censored or taken off the market was because if they decided it was not appropriate to write about Rabban Kotler, that he wrote love letters to his Kala, but who was Rabbi Zalman Meltzer's daughter, one of the great Gedolim of the time. But
No. I'm saying I agree with you.
that wasn't appropriate?
I mean, yeah.
No, I think it was appropriate. No, that was not my point. My point was that this is not something which is just started when people came to America in the 1940s or 1960s, wherever they came. In Europe, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, people who were eventually going to be great Gedolei Torah were writing letters and poems to their fiancés. So this goes back a long time.
At that time, take into a few different differences in today's society versus them. Oh, I don't know how much distance he had from his fiancée.
Several hundred miles, probably.
Several hundred miles in an age where there was no telephones, no text messaging, no internet.
Right.
So the immediate feedback, I don't know, maybe it could be consoling to your fiancé once you get a letter here and there that, he's still going. I guess it doesn't apply to a future couple.
Well, the thing is like this. The thing is that the problem with today's society is there's very little actual poetic romance you can fit into 160 characters of a text message, right? So we have become inherently crass and coarse human beings by virtue of the fact that we don't even bother to spell correctly when we send text messages.
Saying thank you is spelled with T-U. Thank you.
Is that a spell nowadays? Yeah. So I'm almost always makli to spell out everything in a text message. I feel guilty that I'm sending a text. At least I should write it out. So this is one of the great tragedies of our generation, this whole cell phone text message.
Twitter.
What?
Twitter.
It's what?
They don't know Twitter.
Oh, Twitter, yes. Twitter is a continuation of the same thing, yes. It's nobody's writing letters anymore. There's no great correspondence going on between people.
Right.
Nobody's writing epic poems and love letters to each other.
Speak for yourself.
I think it's kind of a waste of time.
A man of the 21st century. Yes. Okay.
When we speak of romance as being a part or integral part of dating process, is it less for men than for women? From the woman's perspective, they need to have a romance?
Yes, it's about women have far more of a need for that because men are much more animalistic and they just want to have their taiva satisfied to a large extent, whereas women are more interested in being loved.
Then it is important to have romance.
Yes, but no, not for all girls. There are many girls who are brought up with the notion that only it's inappropriate before marriage.
What, just feelings about this?
To have romantic love expressed in any way, shape, or form before marriage. There are girls who are brought up like that. Many girls.
So what's the expression of love before marriage?
There isn't any.
Well, what would be if there was? How would you express it?
In that world?
In a regular world, how would you express it? Not in a regular Jewish world. How would you express love if there was?
You write a poem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Your eyes are as beautiful as the deep blue sea, right?
Oh.
Yes,
If you write that, I don't think you're going anywhere. So maybe we should stick to the text messages.
I'm going to text that to you.
What?
I'm going to text you.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, so then the other thing we mentioned is that the Malbim says, and this is true, you shouldn't have huge expectations, and you don't need to have huge expectations. And we mentioned yesterday that in certain ways it's harder to find a good chavrusa than it is a wife, because the chavrusa you actually have to learn with, and you don't have to learn with your wife. Even though it's a nice thing to do to learn with her when you're going out, because it puts your relationship on the basis of something spiritual, not just the whatever mundane or secular aspects that are involved. But it's not something which you're going to have to do during the course of your marriage unless you want to. It's a good thing to do, but it's not imperative. Whereas to sit with a chavrusa for 2-3 hours a day and learn with him, you have to compel yourself to actually learn with somebody. If you don't like their derech halimud, it's going to be horrid. So, in essence, what you're looking for is not the same degree of brilliance or even compatibility you're looking for in a chavrusa. You're looking for something where you feel there's nothing which disgusts you, nothing which you find repugnant, that you anticipate in a positive way you're coming together and talking and meeting with each other and going out. If you feel that love is important, or if she feels love is important, then you bring it up in the equation and as something to discuss, whether it's necessary or not necessary, and to what extent it exists. And then, of course, marriage itself is, after you're engaged and certainly after you're married, is always a lifelong mission of building a relationship. And it's not something which ends when you get engaged. It doesn't end when you get married. It doesn't end after 25 years of marriage. There's always things where you have to invest. I mentioned Meir Machlin of Volba, who says that in his pamphlet of advice for Chassanim, that one has to know that marriage is a constant, unceasing burden on you. It has its benefits, but it is a burden which you have to carry and maintain appropriately. So you should not have any delusions about that. So it's supposed to enter with realistic expectations. If they don't enter with realistic expectations, then that will cause the marriage to have a very shaky foundation. Anyway, that is more of one of the other things about halachically is that question is, if you have some sort of disease like diabetes or something like that, at what point do you have to reveal that to the other side? And we said that, generally speaking, after a few dates, before you get engaged, but you don't have to do it right away at the beginning. If it's something extremely obvious, obviously, then it would be foolish not to reveal it. But it's something which is not so obvious, you can put it off until such time as already there's a basis for the relationship before you spring this on them. Okay, so now we're up to part Gimel, which is, did I leave out anything important, Shlomo?
Yes, the money's not a factor.
Oh yeah, the money's not a factor, right?
Education is also not a factor.
Money is not a factor, and?
Education is not.
Education not a factor?
It's not.
I say education not a factor?
Yeah, you don't have a parnasa and like
Why are you talking about education?
Did you say that? In the
I
very
did?
beginning, that the Bachram or what they afraid they want to wait too long, but in education that they have parnasa.
What?
No? Okay,
I
sorry.
don't remember anything about that.
That was the first page.
Are you linking education and finance together?
No, yeah, I was assuming.
Anyway, yes, money does, on the money aspect, you have to have bitachon. If it's time for you to get married and the girl is a good girl, then you should have bitachon on the money aspect.
I have one comment. My personal understanding is that since the time we were showing all the philosophers like Rational were showing like Rambam, they had different views than we do on marriage. And
That's correct.
On specifically on what love means and what the nature of the female, right?
Right.
And we just don't believe it. We are listening slightly different.
It's not we don't believe it. What do you mean don't believe it?
We don't believe that the female kind of lower status.
They're different nowadays than they were back then.
There's philosophical justification. The female just represent the matter and the male reform. And
Yes, but things have changed.
right, so we don't believe in all these philosophical chauvinism.
Right.
So there, but on the other hand, these are the only reliable sources for philosophy.
Well, it's not philosophy. This has nothing to do with philosophy.
So what is it?
It has to do with psychology, if anything. Emotions. You can't philosophize emotions. Maybe the Rambam could.
Yeah,
No, you can't do that. Emotions are not governed by philosophy.
they should.
They should. Okay, maybe. But that doesn't mean that they are. Okay? I think maybe you, as the representative of the Rambam in our generation, perhaps would be able to do so. But most of us are not.
It's not only Rambam, you see.
If we could philosophize our emotions, none of us would ever get angry.
Right, you shouldn't. Step up, push aside Shlema. It's like Radigan, it's all good for us, middle class emotions. And he brings many emotions there. And he said how all emotion has certain place and none of them is bad in inherent nature. And there are times we have to utilize expressivity, but everything should be governed by thinking. And you see,
They actually thought. Saigon actually was capable of thinking. We're not.
I think it's too pessimistic of you, and I think if Rama would have say, would have lived today would just say, I mean, what do you mean?
Rambam would have lived today, he would have gone insane.
What?
Rambam would have lived today, would have gone insane. He would not be able to take the amazing stupidity and the amazing lack of intellectual capacity of our generation.
I think he would have loved this generation. You have so many advances in science, he just...
He might become a hermit with taking advantage of all those advances of science in his cave. But I don't think he would find society easy to deal with.
Right, but in any event, can we take what he says?
No! Because they were Rishonim. They were Malachim. We're Chamoirim.
I think they are to start back on trip back to Aristotle and Plato and the...
You keep going back to philosophy. Nobody's discussed philosophy in relation to emotions in the past 500 years.
No, what do you mean?
Nobody in the past 500 years has given basis for emotional living. They have based their emotional living on their philosophical principles. I think 500 years is being charitable.
They don't teach it in university because...
They don't teach it anywhere. Where are they teaching philosophy as a means of controlling your emotions? Oh, I am now going to contemplate existence and mathematical principles of logic, and I'm going to govern my emotion accordingly.
It's not so boring the way you present it.
Whatever way you present it, I don't think you can package it in a way which reflects something which our generation is doing.
Rambam is very, very natural, very makes sense.
Shabby, nobody believes Rambam anymore except you.
No, it's not in every yeshiva, it's natural.
What?
Maybe people do it.
What are you reading?
Nam Talmud Torah.
What?
Nam Talmud Torah.
Hilchos Talmud Torah. No, he's not talking about those Rambam things. He's talking about the real boring Rambam stuff.
I did the one before that one.
No, not in Halachos, not Mishnah Torah. It's like Gemara Nevuchim type stuff. Yeah.
Shmona Prakim, you see me last.
Shmona Prakim is a lot of good stuff here. You don't like Shmona Prakim? Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the last section here. Section Gimel on page 349. This is Bitachon B'Hashem She'isigas Ha'isha She'ruya Lo. This is trusting God after you get married that you got the right wife. Yesh B'Yakuva, there is a hurtful problem. It's a kama b'nei dorenu by several people in our generation. Shebetkufa achrei nisuin, in the period after marriage, mispaschos vikuchim, there develop arguments, omribos, or battles, bein b'nei azug, between the couple, akomin enosim putei erech, on all sorts of minor issues. V'amachshava mizganev is, one of the major issues in American marriages, which becomes a source of great annoyance, is whether the man remembers to put down the toilet seat after he goes to the bathroom. This is a great issue, which is the Wall Street Journal and other newspapers have written a lot about. Now, this is something which is totally, totally stupid. And yet people become irritated, and it's not because this in and of itself is irritating. It becomes the focus of irritation or dissatisfaction or a sense of, unhappiness. So therefore, things like, do you squeeze the toothpaste tube properly? Do you close it? All these things become issues. Now, the truth is that...
You leave any hair in the sink.
Leave hair in the sink, right? So that's also a big thing. The truth is that as a male, you should give in on anything and everything. It's not kedai to get into a fight on anything. I'm saying this as good advice that I don't necessarily always follow. But that is the way it should be, is just give in. But but in a marriage where there is tension, small things become exacerbated and are blown out of proportion. And then people start thinking, as he says here, the thought sneaks into the consciousness of the husband or the wife, maybe they made a mistake in their choice.
So what is the typical husband complaint against the wife? We just enumerated the wife's complaints against the husband. What are the typical male complaints?
That she's not romantic enough.
Oh, really?
Spends too much money.
Or spends too much money, yes.
Does not cook.
What?
Doesn't cook well.
No, I don't know. Cooking nowadays, I don't think it's such a big thing anymore. In our generation, meaning not our parents' generation, not my parents' generation, my generation, it's not expected necessarily automatically that the wife is going to do all the cooking.
No, but she shouldn't cook and she should do well.
That's not necessarily expected either
My
nowadays.
socks pink.
Yeah,
Laundry.
they don't do the laundry. The cleaning ladies do the laundry.
Cleaning lady. Where you get cleaning lady from?
We'll just wait. Yeah. So,
you say in the male they have generally complaints about the romanticism of the wife?
yeah.
Should have been the opposite, no?
No, I don't mean romanticism. I use romanticism as a euphemism.
For what? I don't understand.
Let's go back.
Yeah. Okay.
But you said everything is just small things. Here it seems not so small. Think about money, about romanticism.
They are small things.
What?
In the larger scheme of things, they are small, because the main thing you're looking for is somebody who is a good person, with whom you can have a family, which is successful, which meets crises, because they're getting many, many crises, and he's able to deal with them, and which you can be happy with the results. And everything else is a part of it. It's hard to retain that perspective, but that's the ideal perspective a person should have, right?
Right.
Most people don't.
Essentially, if you say, I'm willing to take up the burden, I'm willing to pay the price, then it's not at all difficult to preserve marriage, because
That's right.
The wife's complaints are always about small things that you can just easily.
Right. That's right. But the problem is that many men, at some point, especially in our contemporary society, are also get hung up on things like, well, if I was married to somebody else, she would be more available to me, romantically, or they start looking at pornography in order to fulfill their desires, and then that comes with all sorts of unrealistic expectations and all sorts of unrealistic fantasies, and then that erodes the marriage further. And then all sorts of other, emotional issues arise, and they might not find their expression in the same way that the wife's emotional issues find their way. A male is probably more likely to just get purely angry than a female, who will express it in some, passive-aggressive, you are bad with a toothpaste tube type of way. So
Wait, so the small things are really...
How do you define the difference of that?
a male will shout at his wife much more than a wife will shout at her husband.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Alright, so you're saying that the toothpaste isn't as small, like the toilet seat or the toothpaste, they're just letting you know there's something bigger going on that she's upset at you. That's not a small thing. I mean, you looking over it doesn't solve a problem.
Yes, but if the thing is that if very often,
Warning sign.
yes, but very often in Muslim we have a principle, which is if you deal with the details, then it can impact on the larger picture.
You just find something else to pick on.
Maybe. But I mean, if you deal with all of them, each one will impact on the system in a positive way. This there's a popular book which was put out a few years ago called The Tipping Point.
Yeah.
You're familiar with it? So the idea of the tipping point is that at the right time, in the right place, even a small gesture or a small phenomenon can have major ramifications. So yes, it's true that her irritations become focused on this, and there's a larger source for it. But sometimes dealing with those small things at the right time and place can have a systemic impact which changes the entire system. Okay, so that's why even many people will spend lots of money on marriage counselors.
Even if you recognize that these small little things are part of a big picture, knowing when and how to deal with each individual situation is another challenge.
Right.
It would seem like.
Yes. But usually most people have a certain intuition,
Okay.
which most of us, when we're angry, we intuit that what we're doing is self-destructive and debilitating and negative. But we suppress that intuition because we want to enjoy our anger, right? So the trick is to follow your intuition. Well, this is a phenomenon also.
You also have to know that you're enjoying your anger.
Right.
Which is not easy to know.
Right, it's hard to know.
You're not really enjoying it, although subconsciously, there's something going on where you want to be angry.
Yes, do you want to be a martyr or a zealot or whatever?
Sympathy or something like that.
Martyr. If lots of people feel fulfilled in a negative way, in a self-destructive way, by feeling that everybody's out to get them and feeling gay, angry at the entire world.
But
You don't know people like that? No?
Never met a single soul.
No, that's not anything like that, huh? What?
Not anyone here like that currently.
I didn't say no some back to anybody like that. I'm saying you never met anybody.
I'm saying, right, maybe that's why they don't know, because they've been here a long time.
Ah, okay. Anyway, there are lots of people walking around who are angry at the entire world.
Older people.
I can think of a few young people.
My wife accuses me of this occasionally too.
I had a
So
roommate in college who was this way, and everybody, it was just an assumption that everybody was out to get them.
well, so that's a person what's beautiful about being angry at everybody, what's really beautiful,
You're the victim.
you're the victim and you don't have to do anything. Because it's not going to help anyway, because they're out to get me. So if I don't have to take any responsibility. I don't have to change anything, because they're all out to get me. So that is a very fulfilling position to take, right? I'm the good one. They're all bad. And what am I supposed to do?
It's a way of pushing everybody away.
Yeah.
Keeping them away.
So that's the person can get a fulfillment out of their anger. A person can get fulfillment out of their sense of martyrdom, that they sacrifice for everybody and nobody sacrifices for them, right? And they're always, the ones who are taking responsibility. Nobody else takes responsibility. That also is a very powerful emotion, which is very rewarding to some people. So the bottom line is that a person has to be able, during those times, when he's getting all sorts of benefits from being angry or feeling like he's being sacrificed, his intuition that this is not the right way to approach the problem. And that's very hard.
So how do
Another thing, by the way, which we have lost in our generation, is common sense. Common sense is a very rare commodity.
That's so common.
Right, it's not so common.
Uncommon sense.
Yes. So because we're not capable of being philosophizing, therefore we're not rational people, and we don't exercise our common sense. It's a big problem.
what happens
There are people, one of the ways in which people use religion in a debilitating way is they do things like, there's a Gemara which says that it's asur l'suach b'shas hasuda. You're not allowed to talk while you're eating, while you're in a meal. So that there are people who take that literally, and they will not let anybody talk during a meal.
They won't talk, or they want anybody else to talk?
They won't let anybody talk. So that becomes, then meals become a source of great tension. So, you can use religion as a weapon in a relationship. It's a very powerful weapon.
But what happened? The religion was the cause of it, though. What happened? What changed? I mean, you go 20 years ago, and people had common sense. You go 10 years, 20 years ago, I say, you had common sense.
As people become less and less capable of thought.
But people who actually do it?
What?
People actually do it? I think
I've read about it. I have never actually seen it myself.
What, common sense or?
No, the people not speaking at the table. What?
I mean, I've been at tables where it was just quiet, but that just means that's just because there was really nothing to talk about necessarily at those maybe 5 or 10 minutes while we were stuffing our faces. But
This doesn't happen in the Beckhofer house. Do we ever have some periods of silence during the meals? I don't think so.
In the very beginning.
Very beginning? So, before I get warmed up. Anyway, but again, let's say there are people who tell their wives you can only dress a certain way, or you can only cover your hair a certain way, and that becomes a weapon, right?
well, it's not.
the wife always wants to be their husband appearance. I think always think you look better this way.
But that's not religious.
It's not what's being said; it's how it's being said.
Yeah.
If you can tell your wife to cover her hair more. It's just you you have to tell her to in a certain way in which she would be more willing to accommodate.
There's a story in Rav Shlomo Zalman's biography, which just came out of the second volume of one of his biographies. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. It's in Hebrew. So there was once a chassan who decided that al pi Kabbalah, he's going to marry his wife with a silver wedding ring. Not gold, silver. And she was going crazy because what are all her friends going to say? They all have gold wedding rings, and she has the silver wedding ring, and she's going to be different. And why does he have to be different? And he kept being adamant that he's going to buy a silver wedding ring.
He had the money for gold. He decides.
Yeah, it wasn't a monetary issue.
If not, both positions are just stupid.
What?
Tiny, stupid. Like both positions are just tiny, stupid. It doesn't matter really.
Well, he should have given in.
But is she?
Yes, but since he's the male, he's supposed to be the more rational person and give in. And besides, he's not wearing the ring; she's wearing the ring, right? Anyway, so they went to Shlomo Zalman. So Shlomo Zalman said to the girl, she said, it's a great schus to get married in a silver wedding ring, al pi Kabbalah, and you should do it. And then he said, and as they were leaving, he gave her cash and said, after you're married, go out and buy yourself a gold wedding ring.
So it was money.
No. Shlomo Zalman gave her the money to buy it.
Wait, so why couldn't the guy just get her a silver ring for the marriage and an actual ring?
Obviously, this was a kid. These people had problems, right? And both positions were problematic. They got married. So Shlomo Zalman, no, I don't know if that's part of the story. What? I would assume that they were perfectly fit for each other because each of them took these irrational positions. So Rav Shlomo Zalman was one of the last people to have common sense.
Well, with the exception of me.
What?
I mean, I have common sense. I think I do. You don't think I have common sense? What are you basing this on?
What?
What are you basing this on?
You're concerned with money.
No, do you think conservative and secular?
How is that and common sense related at all? Where's the connection lacking? I may not be perfect, that's true, but where's the connection?
Don't give in.
Yeah.
You are perfect.
What?
I don't like the word. Is this share about you?
We'll make it after that.
Okay. This becomes a vicious cycle. Once again involved in such a thought process, you easily go on to find other evidence to the incompatibility between them. The Sivos Nafos and other reasons, but the whole thing was a bad transaction. And this it says, a way pathway a person wants to go, so that's the way they take him. The Satan also does not keep his hands to himself. And he makes the battle even more intense.
How do you say mecharcher?
Intensifies.
I don't know.
Yeah. The thing is that the Chida writes, very interesting Chida, he says that the Satan is most active at Erev Shabbos. And he tries as much as possible to disrupt the Shalom Bayis of a couple on Erev Shabbos.
This is true.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. Erev Shabbos is the most tense, in the afternoon, is the most tense period of the week. Yes.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Stay away.
Yeah. Well, you can't. Then that'll make it worse. Yeah.
Is that why they say that you get so much scar for learning Erev Shabbos, they want to keep you in the basement?
No.
Alright, honey, I'm going to learn.
So that's using religion as a weapon. Yeah. What? A million things come up always last minute. Even if you're the best planned person in the world, right? There are a million last minute things which come up, which can come up. And, it's easy to foster resentment. The wife is resentful that her husband's not doing enough. The husband is resentful that he's being asked to do too much, right? The children are playing one off the other to avoid doing any work, right? So there's a whole huge amount of baggage going into this short amount of time.
Why are you pressuring us to get married then?
What? It's worth it despite all this. That's the point. You have to realize how good marriage is, that despite all these things, it's still worth getting married.
But what's the benefit?
This is why everybody sugarcoats it, Rabbi. You're not sugarcoating it for us. Everybody else sugarcoats.
My point is even better, right? If I tell you all the problems and I say, and Afal Pichei, marriage is a great place to be, so then that's meaningful, right? What? No.
What's the benefit? I mean, we've talked about.
What's the benefit?
Yeah.
To have.
This is negative, and the negative.
To have a person who is completely focused on you in terms of your growth and your person and your development and your needs and your desires and your aspirations, and somebody for you to focus on, to love and to give to. Those are very powerful things.
Okay, but that translates into criticism in most cases.
Right.
So how is that good?
You have to realize you deserve the criticism.
So what's the benefit? Getting criticized is the benefit? That's the end of the day you gain.
Actually, it is.
Yeah.
Like the
Because then if you don't get criticized, you never grow.
What?
You have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
If the criticism goes to Rabbi,
It's not. It's a peculiar kind of criticism. It's not really.
I know, me too.
It's not objective.
It's not intellectual.
It's not objective criticism.
Whatever it is. It's good to get it.
It's a big shock to find out that we're not.
Yeah.
We're all.
We're not all we thought we were.
Right.
Yes. That
won't happen to me.
There was a secular psychologist named Levinson, not Jewish, I'm Jewish, but not from myself, who wrote way back when I was taking, psychology courses, that a part of maturity is for a man to find a special woman with which to set up a relationship. And a man needs a special woman more than a woman needs a special man. And so therefore you really have to, for a man to reach his full potential, there has to be a woman who believes in him or supports him and criticizes him and pesters him to accomplish what he can accomplish.
Like a Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, like Hillary Clinton. So and it's important to know, statistically, that men who are married live longer than men who are not married. Women, it doesn't make a difference whether they're married or not. They live the same amount.
I think by men who are married, they just want to outlive their wives and show it to them.
Yeah, right, unless you have shot, yes. So
She'll survive the night.
Yeah. There's a joke, a nasty joke. A couple in their 90s come before a judge to get divorced, right? So the judge asked him, how long have you been married? So he said, 70 years. So he said, you take it till now. Now all of a sudden you decide you have to get divorced after 70 years of marriage? So he said, we wanted to wait till all the children died before we got divorced.
Oh my God.
I heard the joke like that the wife was like 105 and the husband was like 110 and they were married for all this time and whatever.
It makes more sense, 100, 510
right.
years, yeah.
That's one of the truth.
Anyway, so he says, it's good, best to learn from the response of Yaakov Avinu L'Baya Adoma to a similar problem. You all know what's coming. Leah gets up in the morning, the wrong wife. Right? It's Leah, not Rachel. So, Vayomer Lavan, he says to Lavan, what'd you do to me? Why did you deceive me? Yesh Shol, you can ask me, name my Lona son, Gerushin Leah, why didn't you divorce her on the spot? Not even divorce, it's a Mekach Tos. You can just claim the marriage is null and void. Right? So, according to the Medrash, it says that he also complained to her. Amar Lo, he said to her, Ramo Ispas Ramoy, deceiver, daughter of deceiver. The entire night I called you Rachel and you responded to me. Amar Lo. So, she said back to him, is there a teacher who doesn't have students? Didn't your father call you Esav when you stole the brachas? Onelo? And you responded to him? She got him there, right? Akon Lashono. So, what? I don't know about it. Yeah. When he came, he told Lavan why he wasn't bringing any money. Yeah. So you understood Sheyesh Kan Onesh Mi Hashem. the meter connect and meter. Measure for measure, meter show them modim low. Modim low. Measure with which a person measures, he gets measured in return. So Yaakov made peace with his punishment. So we should also say, when Hashem paired him off with this specific woman, Hashem certainly has a cheshbon. What is his tikkun? What is his test in life? Hashem anticipates what kind of children he has to give birth to.
I don't know, maybe it's keep a decision. Maybe just
so as they say, you can't look at it that way. That's also part of Bitachon. Hashem destined this woman for you.
So you can't divorce. You
should never get divorced, absolutely.
Why is there a head of getting divorced?
He's going to speak about the next paragraph.
Ram says that marriage is anything else which man is responsible even out from one's free will.
There's a
How did Hashem make them?
There's a story about it, if I recall correctly, Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia had a very difficult wife. So his son once asked him, why don't you divorce her? So he said, it's enough that they raise our children and they save us from sinning. And that's enough. That's what all he really had marriage. Now, what happened was that whatever he ever asked his wife to do, she did the opposite. Right? She asked to cook, whatever she asked his wife to cook, he asked his wife to cook, she cooked something totally the opposite, opposite thing. So his son noticed this, and his son decided, I guess sometimes conveyed messages from the father, or maybe always did to the mother, so he decided he's going to switch what he tells the mother. He was going to tell the mother the opposite of what his father said, so his father should get what he wants. So his father, after a while, has noticed, all of a sudden getting what I want. What happened? So the son says, well, I switch when I tell her. So his father said, I think it's Rabbi Chia. To the son, he said, no, you shouldn't do that because she enjoys giving me the wrong thing.
So, wait. No,
he didn't want to take away from his wife the pleasure of giving him what he doesn't want. Can you imagine that midah?
He was really looking for her. She was a bus thumbs up.
No, but this pleasure is a bad thing. You have to prevent it. It's not. I mean, I think it's really like turn the other cheek. Right? It's a bad meaning. You shouldn't actually try to promote that.
It's not your job to correct the faults of your wife.
What do you mean? No?
But if she likes to make it suffer, you should promote it.
It's not. Rabbi Chia obviously felt it was not his job to correct the faults of his wife.
Yeah, that's okay. But I think no people like that.
If you can do it without getting angry, go ahead.
I don't think we should study anything professional. We should.
Well, we learned something very fundamental from this.
Somebody who actually.
If you don't want to learn the exact lesson, there's certainly many lessons you can learn. In other words, if your wife has a certain idiosyncrasy, you should put up with it.
Fine, but that's not the message.
That is the message, in essence. In other words, even that idiosyncrasy is annoying to you, your meter of chesed should be that you put up with it anyway.
Well, if you think of it as something deeper in nature, it's something that's
something what?
It's something wicked in nature.
Why is it wicked?
Because she enjoys bothering him.
So, okay, so that was her craziness. Obviously, she had some insanity of some sort,
you have to motivate.
Maybe.
Probably, I have a question.
I mean,
we were speaking about
you talk about common sense.
About how small things are really a warning sign to a larger picture, right? So he couldn't figure out that.
No, they were off the deep end. No, this marriage was off the deep end, obviously, right? It was not salvageable in the normal sense. But he said, nevertheless, it's enough. What I get out of this marriage is what I have to get, and that's it.
How does this? I'm just wondering, like, if there's such an extreme, to some extent, like she hates him, I guess. I don't know if he hates her, but she doesn't really like him that much. So how are they allowed to have mutual relationships together? I mean, like, if she dislikes him so much, then what does it say?
She obviously also didn't demand a divorce. She could have demanded a divorce.
I think we should give it to her. You never know.
What?
Maybe.
So what? If the wife demands it enough, certainly at that time they would have gotten it.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so now Aruch HaShulchan, Meir Machlin explains Shalom Nesina Pratis. not because of a personal detestation, may a person divorce his wife. It's only if he transgresses the mitzvahs of the Torah. Rabbi Yerucham, the Meir Machlin says, if first you have to find something which is inappropriate. And from that you don't like her anymore.
How about the opinion of the Gemara that only if you find, even if you find somebody better than her?
Yeah, Rabbi Kiva says that, no?
He says you can divorce. Excuse me, you can divorce for that purpose, right?
Like the Gemara?
Yes, but you're not supposed to. You can.
I think.
Yes, but you can, according to halacha. But that's not. It's not proper Jewish perspective. Okay. Then there's a mitzvah too that he should be garish her. And he shouldn't wait any time at all. Because maybe he'll fall in love with her again. Then he will regret it and he won't divorce at all. The mitzvah gerushin is really the same mitzvah as distancing yourself from a bad friend. The chiddush is that it's even with your wife, who he loves. Nevertheless, it shouldn't prevent him from distancing himself from evil. Flee evil, not to come into a test. The world looks at divorce like a bad thing. Like when you give a saita the waters to drink, she might die. In the world, women and men get divorced and they read machlokas because they fought. Why do they fight? Because they both have big tempers. But the truth is the opposite. In such situations, it's also for them to get divorced. Again, not halachically, but hashkafically, so to speak. In that case, work on your midos.
I don't understand, but if one of the sides just bothers them to the other side or whatever, then to say that since God's punishment, all this speculation, that really, how do you know? He had the free choice to marry her,
because once you're married, that is a commitment to invest for the rest of your life.
Right, but if you made a mistake,
there are no mistakes.
There are mistakes.
There are no mistakes.
They hide something from you.
What?
They hide something from you.
So what?
What do you mean, so what?
No, I'm talking about. No, I'm not talking about if she had some sort of short deficit before the marriage. Once you're married, there are no mistakes. There's no going back, and there's no regrets.
But it's not part of the contract.
It is part of the contract.
The marriage is no. It's not that if the other side is just.
That's why Gemara says, "Kol ha-megarish ishto mishoina afilu mizbeach moira loved most." Anybody married divorces his first wife, even the mizbeach cries over him.
It's sad, but it doesn't
because it's inappropriate. You should never get divorced.
It's never appropriate. I mean,
only if matzah ba'er davar.
But if she's already constantly, or he is constantly.
So learn for Rabbi Chia. You work on your midos.
But he was a Namora.
So it's a Tana. It wasn't just Namora.
We're moronic.
No, you can't.
So what if we're morons?
So how are we supposed to reach the level?
We have to try.
But if she is completely, or he has completely bad midos, what do you think?
We're assuming that. Wait a minute. You went out with this girl. You didn't marry her sight unseen. You're not Hasidish, right? So therefore, you knew what her midos were ahead of time. She had reasonably good midos. After she's married, we assume she has the same midos, and if there's a problem, you have to assume you're generating the problem.
After marriage, everything comes out.
Yeah, but it's not. It's exaggerated, that statement. It's exaggerated.
So you're saying actually, if there was something substantial, something which is substantially different.
Yes, it's something. Yes, but even then, you should try and work it out on your end first.
All right. How about the punishment thing? You say if God plans the other spouse to punish you, like as a means of punishment.
Yeah, maybe you're supposed to have a lousy marriage.
But how is it compatible?
You shouldn't assume that. Yeah.
But how do you compare about free will? Free will is that you truly have to choose.
You're free, but of course you have free will to divorce her, but we're telling you that's a bad choice.
Which person are you going to get married to?
Of course you can choose ahead of time, but once you chose, you chose.
So if God planned plan in advance that you should be punished.
Maybe only planned it the day after you got married. I don't know when God planned it. The point is that that's not our cheshbon. Your cheshbon is now you're invested. You have to make it work. Let's finish this because it's late. So he says, so it's still Rabbi Yerucham speaking. So if you get angry 1,000 times, and hetzer legerushin. There's no hetzer for the divorce. Yiskabru midos same aros. Let them overcome the bad midos. Yichbeshum and restrain them. Kol mitzvahs hagerushin. The only mitzvah gerushin who dafku shem b'menucha v'ashkeit is only when they're tranquil and peaceful. V'zeu kiddush Hashem b'inyon, and that's the kiddush Hashem. Shalom rosa avosam akir avosam, despite their love and their closness. Aval rei ro'eba davara, he sees something bad, and that compels him. Hinei archek min hakiyor, to distance himself from that which is ugly, not physically, but spiritually. Min hadoim alone, and that was similar, anything similar. V'hi mitzvah vadai, and that's definitely a mitzvah. V'alzem mevim b'shem Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. They bring the name of Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. Yesh asher biglal kilkul, they're people because of some problem, miktsas, a little problem, tavshel chamitza, in their borscht. Who eats borscht anymore? Adam nifrad meishto. Some people get married over a little problem with the borscht. What? I'm sorry?
Married?
They get divorced.
The divorce over the borscht. Kshani, when I, says Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, Baal Gaiva, when I see somebody who's about Gaiva, I feel repugnance to the point that I have to vomit. So such a person is truly repugnant. Okay, in other words, a person who burns your borscht, it's not a reason for divorce. A person's about Gaiva, that would be a reason to divorce somebody. Okay, that is that for this. Can we do some Tanya next week? At least on Monday?
Oh, one day a week is fine.
One day a week is fine. Okay.
And Thursdays, we go Thursdays also.
No, Monday and then what do you other?
We'll talk about Monday. Meantime, Monday we do Tanya.